What's up, truck fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling something controversial. 5 truck engines that everyone thinks are reliable but absolutely aren't. These are engines with reputations built on old data, clever marketing, and brand loyalty that doesn't reflect reality anymore. People are buying these engines based on trust they no longer deserve, and it's costing them thousands. If you think any of these engines are bulletproof, this video might change your mind completely. Let's get into it. Starting off at number 5, the Ford 5.4-liter Triton V8, 1997 to 2010. This engine powered millions of F-150S, Expeditions, and Super Duties, and it built a reputation for reliability in its early years. People still recommend it today based on that reputation, but here's the truth: this engine has serious problems that make it one of the most expensive V8s to maintain at high mileage. The spark plug problem is legendary and brutal. The 5.4-liter uses 2-piece spark plugs that literally seize into the cylinder head over time. When you try to remove them for routine replacement, the tip breaks off inside the cylinder. Extracting broken spark plug tips costs $500 to $1,500 per cylinder. With 8 cylinders, a routine spark plug change can turn into a $5,000 nightmare. Ford knew about this problem for years and did nothing. The timing chain is another disaster. The 5.4-liter uses a complex timing chain system with multiple chains, guides, and tensioners. These components stretch and wear prematurely, especially on engines that weren't maintained with regular oil changes. Timing chain replacement costs $2,000 to $4,000 and requires extensive engine disassembly. Many owners report timing chain issues between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. The cam phasers are equally problematic. The variable valve timing system uses phasers that fail regularly, causing a rattling noise on startup and rough running. Phaser replacement costs $1,500 to $2,500. When the phasers fail, metal debris can contaminate the oil system, leading to further damage. The 3-valve per cylinder design, used 2004 to 2010, is particularly problematic. The valve train can develop carbon buildup and the roller followers wear prematurely. These issues compound over time, turning a supposedly reliable V8 into an expensive maintenance nightmare. People trust this engine because early 2-valve versions from the late 1990s were genuinely reliable, but the 3-valve version, which most people are actually buying when they pick up a used F-150, is a completely different story. The reputation doesn't match the reality, and buyers are paying the price. At number 4, the GM 5.3-liter V8 with active fuel management, 2007 to 2021. This engine has powered more Silverados and Sierras than any other, and GM has marketed it as a proven, reliable workhorse for decades. The 5.3-liter name carries enormous trust, but the AFM versions, which cover most trucks sold from 2007 onward, have a catastrophic reliability problem that GM has never properly fixed. The active fuel management cylinder deactivation system causes lifter failures that are nothing short of epidemic. The AFM lifters collapse, destroying the camshaft lobes and sending metal debris throughout the entire engine. Repair bills range from $3,000 to over $10,000. GM has recalled hundreds of thousands of trucks, but the fundamental design flaw remains. Here's what makes this engine particularly dangerous: the failure can happen at any mileage. Some owners experience lifter failures at 20,000 miles, others make it to 80,000 before the engine self-destructs. There's no way to predict when it'll happen, which makes ownership a constant source of anxiety. The oil consumption issue compounds the problem. Many 5.3-liter AFM engines consume excessive oil between changes. Owners who don't check their oil regularly, and many don't, can end up running the engine low on oil, accelerating wear and triggering lifter failures earlier. People trust the 5.3-liter because the pre-AFM versions from the early 2000s were genuinely bulletproof. The Gen 3 5.3-liter from 2000 to 2006 could easily go 300,000 plus miles, but the AFM versions are fundamentally different engines with a fundamental design flaw. The name is the same, but the reliability isn't. The aftermarket AFM disabler helps, but doesn't guarantee safety. If your lifters are already showing wear, disabling AFM won't prevent failure. The only real fix is an engine replacement with upgraded components or a switch to a non-AFM engine, which is expensive and defeats the purpose of buying a truck that was supposed to be reliable. At number 3, the Toyota 4.7-liter V8 2UZ-FE, found in older Tundras, Sequoias, and 4Runners. Now, before Toyota fans come after me, let me be clear, this engine earned its reputation honestly. In its heyday, the 2UZ-FE was genuinely one of the most reliable truck engines ever built, but there's a specific issue that makes trusting this engine today a serious gamble: the sludge problem. Toyota had a well-documented oil sludge issue with multiple engines in the early 2000s, and the 4.7-liter V8 was affected. Under certain conditions, particularly short trips, extended oil change intervals, or using the wrong oil, the engine develops thick sludge that clogs oil passages and starves bearings and lifters of lubrication. When you buy a used truck with the 4.7-liter today, you have no idea if the previous owner maintained it properly. An engine with sludge buildup looks fine from the outside, but is slowly dying on the inside. By the time you see symptoms, oil pressure warnings, ticking noises, rough running, the damage is often catastrophic and irreversible. The timing belt is another issue. The 4.7-liter uses a timing belt that needs replacement every 90,000 miles at $800 to $1,200. Many owners neglect this service, especially second or third owners who don't know the history. When the timing belt snaps, the engine suffers catastrophic internal damage, bent valves, damaged pistons. Complete engine replacement costs $5,000 to $8,000. Head gasket failures are also more common than Toyota's reputation suggests. The 4.7-liter can develop head gasket leaks, especially on higher mileage examples. Head gasket replacement on a V8 costs $2,000 to $3,500. If coolant mixes with oil due to a blown gasket and you don't catch it quickly, the engine is destroyed. The trust people have in this engine is based on well-maintained examples with documented service histories. But most used trucks you'll find today don't have complete histories, and a neglected 4.7-liter is a very different engine from a pampered one. At number 2, the Nissan 5.6-liter Endurance V8, found in the Titan and Armada. This engine has a reputation for being smooth, powerful, and reliable. Nissan marketed it heavily as a proven V8 that could compete with Ford, Chevy, and Ram, and early examples were decent enough, but this engine has several serious issues that make it one of the least reliable full-size truck engines on the market. The transmission is the first issue, not the engine itself, but what the engine is paired with. The 9-speed automatic has catastrophic reliability problems. The transmission fails regularly between 40,000 and 70,000 miles, and when it goes, it takes the engine's reputation down with it. You can have a perfect engine, but if the transmission destroys itself, the whole truck is worthless. The engine itself has problems though. Timing chain issues are common on high mileage examples. The chain stretches prematurely, causing rough running and check engine lights. Timing chain replacement costs $2,000 to $3,500. The oil consumption is significant. Many owners report needing to add a quart every 1,500 to 2,000 miles, which is excessive for a modern engine. The valve train can develop problems, particularly with the variable valve timing system. The VVT actuators fail, causing rough running and expensive repairs. The intake manifold gaskets can leak, causing vacuum leaks that affect drivability and fuel economy. The cooling system has been known to fail prematurely, but the biggest reason the Endurance V8 shouldn't be trusted is the overall truck package. The Titan has terrible resale value because the market knows these trucks are unreliable. Finding a good mechanic who knows the Titan well is difficult because there are so few of them on the road. Parts availability is worse than competitors. People trust the Endurance V8 because Nissan positioned the Titan as a serious truck alternative and the V8 sounds impressive on paper. But real-world reliability doesn't support the reputation. Fleet operators don't buy Titans for a reason. They've done the math and it doesn't add up. And finally, the number one engine everyone trusts but shouldn't is the Ford 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 2011 to 2017 first generation. This engine changed the truck market when it launched. Ford's promise of V8 power from a V6 with better fuel economy was revolutionary. The EcoBoost became one of the most popular truck engines ever, and it still has a massive following today. But the first generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost is deeply flawed in ways that make trusting it a serious mistake. The timing chain system is the first major issue. The first gen 3.5-liter EcoBoost uses a timing chain system that stretches prematurely and causes cam phasers to fail. Symptoms include a rattling noise on startup, rough running, and check engine lights with phase codes. Timing chain and phaser replacement costs $3,500 to $5,000. This repair is commonly needed between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. Not old by modern standards, the turbochargers fail prematurely on the first-gen engine. Both turbos often need replacement around 80,000 to 100,000 miles at $4,000 to $6,000. When turbos fail, they can send debris into the engine, causing additional damage. The intercooler has condensation buildup issues that cause stumbling on startup. Not a catastrophic problem, but annoying and indicative of the system's design flaws. Carbon buildup is severe because the first-gen engine uses only direct injection with no port injection. Carbon builds up on the intake valves over time, restricting airflow and causing rough running. Walnut blasting cleaning costs $500 to $800 and needs to be done every 60,000 to 80,000 miles. This is just maintenance on a flawed design. You're constantly cleaning up after the engine's shortcomings. The high-pressure fuel pump can fail, leaving you stranded with a no-start condition. The fuel pump is buried in the engine and costs $1,500 to $2,500 to replace. The spark plugs need careful attention. Using the wrong plugs or the wrong gap can cause misfires and engine damage. Stack all these costs together at 100,000 miles. Timing chain and phasers, $4,000. Turbochargers, $5,000. Carbon cleaning, $700. Fuel pump, $2,000. You're potentially looking at $11,700 in repairs on a truck that was supposed to be modern and efficient. Here's why this engine doesn't deserve the trust it gets. The second generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost 2017 Plus fixed many of these issues with dual injection and improved components. But millions of trucks are still on the road with the first-gen engine, and people buy them expecting EcoBoost reliability without understanding the generation difference. Dealers and private sellers rarely volunteer this information, leaving buyers to discover the expensive problems themselves. The EcoBoost revolution was real. It did change the truck market, but the first generation execution had serious flaws that the reputation hasn't caught up with yet. Buyers who trust the EcoBoost name without checking the generation are setting themselves up for expensive disappointment.